Welcome to Daily Focus. I appreciate you joining me today. It's been a bit of a challenge, and quite frankly, uh, I hit the button this time after it not working a number of times, and all of a sudden it worked. And so I was kind of surprised and a little taken back, but I'm glad I got it working. I have to give a shout out to John Brandenburg, who's been working on it for me. Yesterday, I could not, it just would not allow me in and then froze me up and said I had to wait and before I could try anymore and nonsense. Anyway, I'm glad you're joining me and you got to love technology when it works. Well, we're going to finish up chapter 22 of Matthew, and I've entitled this Silencing the Crowd. And you have heard it said that nothing silences critics like success, which is true. And it's true in our Christian life, it's true in business, it's true in politics, it's true in leadership, that nothing silences critics like success. Well, Jesus tended to use questions to silence his critics. In other words, they who thought they were so smart were silenced with the fact that he would ask them questions that they could not answer. And that is what's going on here. And so, verse 41, while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, saying, "What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he?" They say unto him, "The son of David." And he saith unto them, "How then doth David in spirit call him Lord, saying, The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then call him Lord, how is he his son?" And no man was able to answer him a word, neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. What a great relief for Jesus, right? And these Sadducees, Pharisees, and people who were always constantly trying to trip him up. Well, in theology, we call it the hypostatic union, the fact that God was 100%, or Christ was 100% God and 100% man. He was not 50-50. He literally never stopped being God, but laid aside, Philippians chapter 2, laid aside the use of his attributes being God and became man and took on the limitations of a servant, the limitations of a human being. And therefore, he experienced hunger and he experienced thirst and he experienced loneliness and he experienced sorrow and he experienced the things so that he was touched with all of our infirmities. He understands us as human beings. And so, what an amazing reality to know that our God is not apart. He's not distant. He is not unemotional regarding what we're going through. He feels it. He knows it. He has experienced it. And therefore, he's able to travel that road with us and not just sympathize, but empathize. And so, God is basically explaining to these Pharisees as Christ, what about who do you say that Christ is? Who do you say I am? I am God, and yet you see me as 100% man. You are experiencing the fact that I have lowered myself to walk with you as a human being, but I am God. So how do you explain David being the one who in his posterity would produce the Messiah Christ? So yes, it is a train of human being descendants that brought Christ into the world. But David recognized that this Christ would be God and called him such. The Pharisees were like, we got nothing. We have no answer for that. And the reason is they did not want to admit that Jesus Christ was God, and therefore he was the Messiah, and he was going to be able to lay down his life. He was qualified to pay for the sin of the world. And so it is a very important doctrine that we know that God, who has always been victorious over death, God who has always had victory over the grave, God who has always ruled in authority over every facet of the world, for he created it. Death was not a problem for him. And yet he realized that death was mandatory and necessary, and the shedding of blood was absolutely necessary in the payment of sin. And he was willing to take on this flesh in order to solve our sin problem. And he is our creator, he is our savior, he is our sovereign Lord of all, and he will come and rule as king over Israel, and then we will enjoy an eternity with him where he is the light that lights everything. He is the standard of righteousness, which we will be conformed to, and we will be the very embodiment of representing his love, not only to each other, but back to him. What a wonderful truth we have. And so how is it that we silence critics? Well, sometimes it's just asking them questions about truth, giving them questions based on truth that they have to answer. And when they can't answer it, they have to realize, even if they deny that they haven't been able to answer it, in their spirit, they know, I don't have an answer for that. And so the answer for us, how do we silence critics? How do we silence a crowd that is trying to persuade people to go the wrong way? Truth. Truth is the way you silence critics. What I see going on in America is that the greatest thing for truth is that time is the best truth teller. And though there was a deceitful lie that was being broadcasted around our nation, this election showed that America as a whole said that's not able to work. That's not American. That's not right. That's not true. And overwhelmingly has elected a president and a Congress and Senate and many states in order to say we're not going to believe that anymore. And truth is what dispelled the deceit. And so truth. How do we silence a critical crowd? Truth. Ask questions about truth. God bless you. Hope you